partner. She is unbelievable. I know that you're going to love her just as much as I love her. She is...
she might be frozen by now.
Yeah. Not only is she the leader of the Italian Chicks.
Go ahead. I wanted to go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah?
Yep.
You can bring her up with the music?
Yep.
All right. She is also an amazing musician, a great friend, and a beautiful person. Maryann Boo Boo Maisano.
Thank you. I'm going to give you back your mics, okay? Oh, you want this one back? I don't need a mic. I'm Italian. I don't need a mic, okay? Trust me. Any Italians in here? You guys clap. Let me clap. All right. So you got some Italians here. You're not Italian. No. Irish? Irish with French. Oh, that makes it a little erotic, doesn't it? The French, right? Are you married? Yep. And you have kids? Yep. Dysfunctional? Of course. Okay. So I'm going to give you back your mics because I don't think, and you can have my condom. I brought my own condom tonight because I do believe in safe sex. So there's you can keep it. All right, throw it away. So yes, my name is Maryann Boom Boom Maisano, and I was a little confused because when Annie sent me the flyer, it said comedy workshop, and I was like, shit. I'm not a fucking comic. Excuse me. Okay, I'm sorry. I guess this has to be GP. I didn't mean to. There's no kids on. All right, screw it. All right, so I'm not a comic. I'm a storyteller. And that's a difference from a comic, okay? So I do things a little bit differently. So I got a little panicked, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do? I'm going to teach people about comedy because I'm a storyteller, all right? So I figured it out. Somebody in here before, I couldn't see because I was on the side, said that they were funny. Who was it? You. So is there anybody in this room that also thinks they have a funny personality that your friends go, oh, you? All right. So 2 people in this room.
I think Annie's funny.
I think she is funny too because I know her. She is funny. So it's for me, if you have a decent sense of humor, I think that's a good start, okay? Yeah. But the way I look at it is, and Kara and I will differ on this because I will never recommend you to go to a comedy class and pay some guy who walks in and goes, hey, how you doing? What's up? $150, I'm going to make you freaking funny. Right? No, it doesn't work that way. Because you're going to give this dude $150, you're going to sit in there, blah, 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 blah. Then at the end, like she says, you have a graduation, you invite all your freaking friends, it's a bringer show, he makes some money, you go away with a little diploma that says, so you're freaking funny and you're a comic. Get out! Now go in the real world, like she's saying, but that doesn't happen in the real world, right? It just doesn't happen. You get on the stage and then you got no shit. What happens, right? So, here's what I suggest. To the people in here that said they had a sense of humor, if you really feel this way, take your family stories, and the next time you're hanging out with your friends or whatever, tell that family story. And make your friends laugh. If you can make your friends laugh, then you know you have an opportunity to go out there and try it in the real world. But for me, I do it a little different. I just use a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I always hope that the ending is funny. And thank God, knock on wood, so far it's been pretty, all right, I've been like spot on. But for me, let me just tell you a little bit about my background, because I think that's important. I am a singer, songwriter, musician, storyteller, comic, actor, and playwright. And they used to call that an entertainer. Am I right? I don't know whatever happened to that word, but there was always an entertainer. That was a person when they had a sign up and they said, we need a vocalist. Hi, I need a vocalist. Okay, you wait there. We need a guitar player. Oh, wait a minute, I can do that too. Okay, so you showed up for everything, and they only had to pay you once. See, that's where the problem came in, because they were like, oh, this is cheap. I can get this board to do 5 things, and pay her cheaper, all right? So I think entertainment is a lost art in and of itself, okay? So I don't really put that much pressure when it comes to talking about comedy, because I just feel that if you think about, you know, the comedy and tragedy figure they always have with the mask, the happy face, and then the sad face. Well, there's a reason for that. Because I really think in order to be funny, that major shit has to have happened to you in your life. Because funny, comedy, comes from you trying to hide that pain. Whatever that pain was in life. It could be whatever that pain was. My pain was my family. My dad was a very typical Italian dude. He was born on the other side, as they say, right? So was my mom, makes me first generation. And my dad always cheated on my mom. And I was the youngest of 4. And all of my siblings are like 10 years, my next sister is 10 years older than me. So they were all married and out of the house, and I was the one left at home. So mom would always yank me off the couch to go find daddy. Because her girlfriends would call and say, hey, my father owned a cab company, so everybody knew him. And, you know, he should have taken his personal car, actually, now that I think about it. You know, they go, Mary Jo's parked at the end of the street with some freaking blonde. And then my mom would yank me off the couch, and there we go. And I'd sit on a ride from terror, okay? Like, what are you going to get daddy? He has a car, okay, right? So this went on forever between my mom and my dad. And back in the day, old timers, they didn't have divorces. They didn't do divorcing. You just stayed there. And as much as it used to confuse me, because for me it was like, why is my mom staying with him? I was a little kid, and it was like, well, why is she cooking for him? I mean, did he ever say he was sorry to her? Like he can just keep doing this, and then like she would get mad. And for 3 days, it would be silence in the house. And then on the 3rd day, you'd hear my mother, and she'd go, Joe, come and eat. And then I, as a young child, would be like, is this what love is all about? I mean, why was she cooking for him? Did he ever say he was sorry? And this went on. So as time went on, so dealing with that, and then being the youngest of 4, being the baby, all my siblings came to me when they had an issue. I don't know why, but they did. And I don't know why, but I chose to be the fixer. And I fixed everything. So in doing all of this, what I found most solace in was being able to take these crazy stories that people didn't believe. They thought I made them up because they were too freaking good. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that shit ain't real. Come on, you're full of shit. You sat in your house with a pen and paper, you wrote that down. No, it really happened. And when I would tell these stories, these people would just laugh. And it was my way of expressing and getting that out. Because what started happening to me was I started developing these, as a young person, like in my early 20s, bizarre phobias. I couldn't move my neck. I felt like I couldn't move my neck. My eye kept twitching. I was afraid to be too far away from my house, almost agoraphobic in a way. And this was all because I lived in a 2-family house over them. You know, cheap rent, what the hell are you gonna do, right? Sometimes, you know, you gotta do it. And, you know, when I hear, my dad was a provider. Not that he was never mean, it was not about hitting my mom or being an alcoholic in any shape like that. He just cheated. So whenever, and my mom, she ruled the roost, she did. But the cool thing was that whenever they would fight, I would listen to them. And I was always afraid because my mother would hyperventilate. And I remember being 6 years old, first time she caught him with this guy. And he pulled away, with this woman rather, and he pulled away. Thank you, you got that one, right? Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gay, I fucked up. I guess I got my pronouns mixed up. Shit happens. But why a guy? I better think about that. Must be cold, I know why. Because what we were talking We were talking about, you had to put that in my head and shit. So my mom, I mean, this would go on all the time, right? And she would catch him. The first time she caught him, and he pulled away with the woman in his car, she fell to the ground. And I was like, Ma, did you die? okay? And so the common thread throughout my whole life, when everything sucked, was everybody went, oh, it's wow. Everything's fine. Like it never freaking happened. But it did. And I was the only one that remembered it. They just sauntered on through life like everything was freaking okay. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, and then I was the one that went to therapy. I had to spend all this money on a freaking therapist, and they're walking around like, oh, everything's fine, everything's all good, because they never, ever address any of their shit, ever, to this day. They haven't addressed their shit. And to this day, they still call me. Sadly, I do answer the phone. But I let them leave a message. Because, no, this is good advice. Let them leave a message. Because then you hear what the problem is. And you decide if you want to jump into that drum. You understand? Yeah. Very simple. You protect yourself a little bit. So for me, how all this really kind of came into play, I had this big Italian family. And every Sunday, what did we do? We ate, like we did every freaking day, but Sunday we ate more. All right, we ate more and we had pastry, okay? So every Sunday my mom would make the big Italian meal and everybody come over because, you know, all the paisans and the cousins. My father sent for everybody in his family. Every year in Italy, they come over, they move in the basement, mom would cook for them, my father would find them a job, they'd move out in a year, and then another freaking crew would move in. It was like living in a goddamn documentary, okay? So this went on, and every Sunday my mom, they'd be out there, you'd wake up, you'd smell the meatballs frying, and the gravy or the sauce, whatever the hell you want to call it. Let's not have that debate, okay? I hate that debate, because you just put it up on Facebook and then everybody jumps on it like an asshole. You're like, come on, do that fucking gravy sauce shit now. You know, it's like, forget it. Instagram, they're like, what? Gravy sauce. They don't give a shit. All right, it's a whole different audience. So this would go on and on and on. And you'd wake up and you'd have all these smells and you'd hear all this music. Music from like Caruso, to Jimmy Dorsey, to Jimmy Rosselli, Frank Sinatra. I mean, I think that's why I was so eclectic musically, because I heard all these amazing different genres of shit. And I loved it, right? And then you heard all these stories. Like, my uncles would be there from Italy, my aunts and my cousins. And we were like this. It was like watching the fucking Discovery Channel. Because they would tell these stories of the old country that were like so visual that, you know, the rolling hills and the ancient olive trees. And you'd just be sitting there like, you felt like you saw Italy. You really did, as a kid, right? So what my mom would do is she'd go in the kitchen and make the coffee. And every time she's in there making the dessert, she'd call me and she'd go, Maryann, when mommy makes the dessert, go out and sing for everybody. I was 5. And I go, okay. And I'd walk out and I'd get up on a chair. And I'd stand right in the middle and I'd sing. And as soon as they did this, I was screwed. Because I was like, I saw everybody's faces smiling and who was hugging each other when I was singing and their eyes, and I knew I wanted to be a performer. And that was a blessing and a burden at the same time. Because it's like, how do you make that happen? I'm just a freaking person. I don't have money. I don't know anybody that has money. I got no connection. I'm fucking 5. Where am I going? Come on. So for me, what happened was at 12 years old, my brother took me down the shore, Seaside Heights, New Jersey, by the way. And we were on the boardwalk, and there was a game of chance, you know, one of those big wheels with the numbers and shit. And I said, hey, Joe, give me a quarter. I want to play. Give me a quarter. So I put a quarter on number 30. The wheel goes. And I'm like, I won? I can have anything I want. I want the guitar. No, Joe, I don't want the TV. I want the guitar. No, I know I don't know how to play. I want the guitar. And the next day, I went to the music store and I bought all these books. And every day when I got home from school, I went straight to my room. And I would play that guitar all day, every day, until finally I was able to play House of the Rising Sun.
Wow.
And I heard you sing that. And you did a fabulous job. And I that song. Every day, all day, all the time. And not once did my mother come in and go, babe, can you please learn a new song? She would always say, oh, babe, that was beautiful. Mommy loved it. And from there, I started high school bands. And I was doing all these high school dances. And then as I got a little older, we had rock bands and we were doing bars. And my very Italian father didn't like the idea that his baby daughter was getting in a van with a bunch of guys with long hair and going away for a weekend, okay? So my father and I really never got along because I was the only one that ever confronted him about his infidelity. And not in a good way. Because as you can tell, I think a little bit by my nature, I'm a little assertive. Okay, so my father one day, every time he'd see me with my guitar, he'd go, Maryann, what do you do with that guitar? That you crazy hippie bastard. So I was always the crazy hippie bastard in the house, okay? So one day he sees me and he goes, Maryann, when are you going to get the real job and the benefits, huh? And I thought he said to me, you can't do shit. And in hindsight, what he was really trying to say is, I really don't get your world. I don't know anything about it. And I just want to make sure you're going to be okay. But I didn't feel it that way. So I said to him, yeah, watch this. So I walked into a local bank, because as you know, when we were all growing up, you went to a local bank. Who worked in there? Everybody you friggin' knew from high school. Am I right? People were like, holy shit, you working here? Do you like it? No. All right. Okay, so it was like all that, right? So I marched into a local bank and I got a job as a teller. And what did they do? They trained me to be on the drive-up window. That was the worst thing they could have freaking done. Why? Do you know why? He had a fucking microphone. So I did the best drive-up window shows. They were unbelievable. Like, and everybody knew me in town, so I'd be like, the drive-up window, and I go, hey, John, what's up? You want this enlarged? Yeah. Oh, we're playing down there Wednesday night. I got this great drummer. He's new. You're going to fucking love him. He's spot on me. Oh, yeah, we do that song. You want to do it now? Yeah, sure. The best things in life are free. And right in the bay. Okay, John, I see you Wednesday night. And then all of a sudden I go, hey, Mrs. Aiello, how you doing? Did you break that piggy bank? Were you up all night rolling panties? Don't worry, I got it. Yeah, I got it. You want me to sing your song? Your favorite one? Sure. You ready, Mrs. Aiello? Okay. Every time it rains, ow! It is from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains, ow! And it's from heaven. You'll find your fortunes winning all over town. Make sure that your umbrella is upside down. Take care, Mrs. Aiello. I'll see you. This went on and on. And it was really interesting because in banking then what happened was I wound up breaking the mic. And what was interesting was, it's true, I did. I broke it. It was like, I didn't mean to hold a puppy. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to kill him. I just was holding him. All right, so now they promote me to accounting. Go figure. I guess they figured I couldn't break shit up there. I don't know. And then, interestingly enough, I started to question my own mortality in this entertainment business. And see, the last thing I wanted to do was end up 65 years old in a sequin gown singing Misty in the Poconos. So I decided to stay in the bank, and I became accidentally successful. I ended up becoming vice president of sales. And the one thing I learned from that was that the Bible was right. Money indeed, the love of money, is the root of all evil. Because now I hadn't been performing anymore. I had no life. I had no creativity left at all. And my days were filled with politics and boardrooms. And the only audience I had was my sales team for seminars. And I would walk out, good morning, how are you? So, by a show of hands, how many of you knew that you wanted to be a banker when you grew up? Surprise, nobody! I know, of course, you wanted to be a ballerina or a fireman or a cop. I get it. Listen, people, the financial world has changed. So if you had a passion, you had better find it again. I knew at 5 years old, I wanted to be a performer. And that's what I did. I'm telling these people to follow their passions, and I hadn't followed mine. And the next day, I walked into the chairman's office, and I resigned my 6-figure position. And the one thing, during my years in banking, I met this phenomenal woman. I reported to her. She was a 5-foot-tall Asian woman. Her name is Sally Chang. We still keep in touch. And she had told me, and it was the oddest, we were like the odd couple, because she was so tight-ass corporate. And she had a degree from Harvard and Vassar. Where are we going over here? And she gets the Italian chick. And we got along really well. And one day we were talking, and she said to me, listen, do me a favor. She said, when you're out and you're networking, and you're at an event or something, and you hand out your business card, make sure you always tell someone that you're also an entertainer. And I looked at her, and she said, you see, the day you stop saying that you are an entertainer is the day you will never be an entertainer again. She said, because you have to act as if you already are what you were supposed to be. And I said to myself, wow. I mean, think about what she just said, act as if. Now, this was years ago. This was before the friggin' book, The Secret, was even written. That goes to show you with these Asian people. You know what I'm saying? They know their shit. They got that wisdom down really good, okay? So I was like so into that, right? And, you know, it was funny because after I resigned, I put together a 3-phase plan. And I treated myself as a business plan, actually. And the plan was, first to create a CD of music, because I haven't written a song in 10 years. And interestingly enough, I was able to write it in less than 4 months because the music just poured out of me. And the CD was circulating, it was on all digital, you know, Spotify, all kinds of shit, whatever the hell you download, Gots, whatever, I don't know. And I get a phone call from Danny Aiello. Now, I'm talking about Mr. Moonstruck, you know, Loretta, will you marry me? Okay, that Danny Aiello. Mr. Do the Right Thing, Danny Aiello. And he calls me and he goes, Maryann, this is Danny Aiello. And I'm like, and I have a friend of mine, you know him too, and he does great impersonations. And he would call me up sometimes. It's like, you know, Robert De Niro, and I go, oh, you knock it off, John. So I go, oh, you're so full of shit. And then he goes, this is Danny Aiello. And then I go, oh shit, it really was there. And he heard my one song on the CD. And it was called City of Life. And it was my interpretation of a Parisian tango. And he fell in love with the song and he wanted to record it on his next CD because he started singing. And he did like a crooner kind of thing, like a Tony Bennett crooner thing. And he wound up recording it and it was nominated for a Grammy. And the next plan that I had, this 3-phase plan, was to create a show called The Italian Chicks, an all-female comedy and variety show that supports the culture and traditions of the Italian-American people. Okay? And I did that, carried down part of that show. And the show's been around for almost 9 years now. And we performed across the United States and Canada, and we typically perform at theaters. I do not perform in comedy clubs. I used to, but I don't. Because they don't like women. They just, I'm sorry, I hate to pull that card, but they don't like women. If you go to a comedy club and there's a woman there, you're going to see this is their, it's like a CYO dance. Anybody Catholic school here? CYO dance was a Catholic school dance. And the nuns would be there, and the guys would be on this side, and girls would be over there, and the Holy Ghost was supposed to be in the middle, nothing else. Right? That's the fucking way it went down in my world. Until I set the nun's veil on fire, and then I got kicked out in 6th grade. But so now I put this show together, and everybody seems to love it. It's great because it touches everybody's story. Even though there's a bunch of Italian women separately on stage, everybody has a different story to tell. And it's funny, it doesn't necessarily have to be all Italian. And then there's music at the end. And so there's the variety part of it, from real serious songs to really crazy-ass parodies that are funny. And then the last phase, the third phase, was I wanted to write a one-woman play exactly about the life and times of growing up, first-generation Italian, being the youngest of four, living in a house where my dad owned a cab company and there were millions of cabs in the backyard and CB radios and 8 phones in the house. Oh, it's so quiet in my freaking house. Like, breaker, breaker! That's what you heard all the time. We were saying, breaker, breaker, one night. And this guy's going, what the hell is breaker, breaker? That was CB radio. You see that? CB radios. Back in the days, like they would have a CB radio instead of a cell phone. And in order to get on, you had to go, breaker, breaker. I don't know what it means. I'm just telling you for reference. It's just like it was an old Google thing that just happened. I wanted you to be on my, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Because I got you right there.
I do.
Okay. We're all in a Kool-Aid. That's all that matters, right? So then I created this show about and how being exposed to infidelity as a child skewed my perceptions of love as an adult. So it is a dramedy. You will laugh and you will cry when you see this play. So I did all that, and for me, see, it was never about, and Annie and I were talking about this before, it was never about being famous. It was always about making an impact. And that's what's so important. Because if I sing a song, I mean, let's think about it. Songs are the storybooks of our lives. A song could come on, and you can remember who you were with, and what they said, what you were doing, and it takes you right back to that time and place. Whether it was a happy time or a bad time, you were there, okay? So, like, singing and performing a song and then watching people cry, it's just so, it goes into me in a way that I can never explain. And whether I'm up here doing comedy or telling these stories that are comedic, and watching people cry and laugh, or people come up to us at the end of the show and say, they're walking up, like, it's like a bad Italian wedding at the end of the show, because we stand in a line, and then everybody comes up, like they're going to give you the abusta, you know, the money and the shit, and they want to shake your hand, kiss you, and, you know. So, all right, so, and this lady's walking up, and she's crying, and I go to one of my comedy partners next to me, and go, oh, shit, this doesn't look good. She's crying. So the woman walks up and she goes, I just want to thank you, because my mom and dad died 3 months apart from each other 4 years ago. I haven't heard words like I heard here tonight since they were alive. And I want to thank you for taking me home. That meant more to me than anything else in the world. And that's what it's about. It's about when people can see who you really are. It's not about being cocky, and you know, and that's what I hate. I hate these people that, look, even tonight, when I get up on any stage, before I get up on stage, I am nervous as hell. Because you know what? I wanna come out there and still prove something. I just want to do it. But if you're cocky, you're not gonna give a shit because you think you got it. And you know what? When you're cocky, people see it. People know it and they sense it. But I want to come out and still prove something to you and to everyone. And you know, it's funny because I want to close with my mom, who was the love of my life, and sadly no longer here as well. When I was a kid, every Saturday night, we would always watch a movie together because my father was either asleep or out. And it was, I don't know if it was the 8 o'clock movie or the $1 Million movie, but I still remember the theme song. So if any of you know this theme song, tell me what it is. It went, ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum, ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum, bum bum. Well, I don't know, was it the 8 o'clock movie or the fucking $1 Million movie? Whatever it was, that was the theme song, okay? So, I would be laying on the floor in front of the TV, and my mother would be in the kitchen, and she would get, does anybody remember Unita biscuits?
Yeah.
Okay, holy shit, right? Let's go old school on this now. Anita biscuits, right? And she would take these Anita biscuits and she would put butter and jelly on them. And she would make me hot chocolate and she would make tea. And so she'd hand me my plate on the floor. She'd sit on the couch and we'd turn on the ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum. And they would always, I'm so into black and white classic movies. I love them. I mean, the drama, it was like living in my house in a way. I'd be like, holy shit, that guy's cheating. I wonder if he's thinking about this, you know? But there were such amazing movies. So there was a movie coming on that night that was called The Rainmaker.
Oh, yeah.
And it was written by Frank Capra. And for those of you that don't know Frank Capra, he also wrote It's a Wonderful Life. You know that movie that you see every Christmas time? With Jimmy Stewart and Zuzu's fucking pedals? Every year. Oh. Twice I have to watch that in December. And I cry like a friggin' baby, like it's the first time I saw it, right? I'm like, oh no, don't die. And then he's like, oh, look at the world without you. Oh, it's horrible, right? And you know what kind of movies Frank Capra did, all right? So this was The Rainmaker, starring Burt Lancaster. Dang, you know what? I'm gay, but this dude was hot. I might have jumped off the horse just for a second. Just for a second. You know what I'm saying? Because he was built too, and he used black jeans, a black shirt, a black cowboy hat, and he had a stagecoach, white horses and shit. You know, it was like, oh. And in that movie was also Katharine Hepburn. And she was the spinster, and it was her pa and 7 brothers. And Burt Lancaster, he called himself the Rainmaker. And you know what he would do? He'd go from town to town because it was during the drought. And all the farmers, and he'd stand there right in the center of town on a stagecoach, all freaking hot and shit, you know? We all want man, know it, you know? And he'd stand up there and he'd go, I'm going to tell you something right now, I can make it rain! I can make it rain! You gotta believe me, for a fee. And you know what he would do? He'd collect the money from everybody. He'd say, you gotta give me at least 4 days. He was so charming and charismatic, and he told stories. Okay, guess what? On the 5th day, they were running his ass out of town. He'd jump on the stagecoach, slap those horses, and he was out. All right? And then he pulls down into this valley. And he sees this one house on a hill. Acres and acres of land, nobody around. And he pulls up, and it happens to be the house with Katharine Hepburn and her 7 brothers and her pa. Okay? And they're all outside, and they start talking to him. And he was a charmer. And Pa goes, why don't you come on in and have supper with us, son? Looks like you've been traveling a long time. So he goes in. And he's telling stories, and all the brothers, you know, they never left the farm. And they're like, oh my God, this guy's great, you know. They love him. And then he starts telling them about rain. Can make it rain. Maybe. So the father opens up the cookie jar, takes out the money, and he gives them the money and make it rain. A couple of days, they need a couple of days. And what does he do? He starts taking Lizzie, the spinster, by the hand every night, and he'd walk to the gazebo around the farm, and he'd tell her stories about look at the sky, see those stars, how they twinkle. The stories were so magical, and he would see her eyes twinkle. This was going on, and all of a sudden, what happened to her was he made her realize that she was beautiful. And she never knew that, never felt that before. But he made her feel that. And when she felt that, she felt totally different about herself. And she opened up for the first time. Because she had confidence, because she felt beautiful. Now you would think she was going to marry him, but instead, there was some guy from town that always came around, but she never noticed him. Because she never thought she was beautiful. So she noticed him and said, yeah, I'm going to try this guy over here. And in the meantime, the family's getting a little pissy. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, where's the freaking rain? Huh? Oh, you told us we got rain, we got nothing over here, right? So what is, all of a sudden, now they start chasing him. He jumps on his stagecoach, slaps the horses, and he's riding. And all of a sudden he sees Lizzie on the porch all by herself. And he stops, because they're far behind him. And he looks and he goes, Lizzie, never forget you're beautiful. And he takes off again and then he stops. Because he realized, for the first time, he fell in love with someone. And it was her. But was a grifter. He was a con man. He wouldn't allow himself to fall in love with anybody because that would screw up his whole jam, right? So now, when he said, Lizzie, I love you! And then all of a sudden, you heard a roll of thunder, a crack of lightning, and the heavens opened up and it started to rain. And he just stopped. And the brothers and the fathers stopped, and everybody's hats are yee freaking high, and the rain's coming down. And what is that all about? It's all about don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. Don't stop saying you're an entertainer. Don't stop being whatever it is you're supposed to be. Always live your purpose. Do it every day, okay? No matter if you show it to someone or if you just work at whatever it is, makes your heart sing every day. Touch it every day. That's what you have to do. And you know what? You'll always feel your heart. So, another thing. Make it rain! Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, want to do some Q&A? Anybody have some questions and stuff? Everybody's sitting there, now they got the face mask on, you can't see shit. Yeah. Any Q&A?
So can you guys do a little joke together? Anything you normally do together? Anything?
Well, we don't do jokes together, we do them
So
separately.
that's funny. So people always ask us that.
Yeah.
They ask us that. I also have another comedy partner. So we're not like a comedy duo. Although we are extremely funny together.
We are. You should have seen us that day.
Yeah. We make each other laugh.
Yes, that's
And we can make you laugh.
Yeah, we don't really do like, it's not like you and Yaya do a song together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I already have an idea for you two.
Oh, you do one?
That you could do a debate like the presidents, but about gravy versus sauce.
Well, it's so funny because
Right?
well, it's funny that you say that because I don't know what your take is on it, but as soon as you started to say it, I was thinking about what happened in my family. Does anybody else have like a strong opinion on the gravy sauce thing? Oh,
Yeah,
so
what
we
is
do
it?
have strong opinions on gravy and sauce.
Gravy brownie goes on.
I get you, so she's a sauce chick.
I'm sauce.
My very first boyfriend was Italian, Anthony Brentaduro.
Oh, me.
And he invited me over for dinner.
Uh-huh.
And I rudely said, oh, yeah, what happened? He said, gravy.
Right.
And I told my mother, I said, no, I think they're really poor. They're having gravy.
Oh. So, now that's a great story, but do
That's
you
a
still call it
great
gravy or
story.
sauce? Okay, anybody else? Who said? Somebody here?
You said, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my family half and half. One side called the gravy, the
The
other
other
and on
sauce.
Facebook, the Seguidos, and well, let's not talk about that. We always have to, they have to chime in on the gravy sauce.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
But I do
My
have-
family is gravy.
I do have a theory about the gravy sauce.
Go ahead.
So
what is it?
And as a chef, maybe you'll agree with it.
Well, so it's interesting. Well, so
Yeah.
as a chef, it's always sauce, right? Because it's the mother sauces. And I was trained classically French, so tomato sauce. It's tomato sauce. However, in my family, it was gravy. You would have Sunday gravy.
Right.
So it was made with the meatballs and the bourgeois and the sausage, and you would have Sunday gravy. So that's what. But I think it's hysterical that she thought that all they were having was
That they were
gravy.
poor. Come on, they're so poor, they just eat gravy.
Because that would be my family. We were so poor that all we had was gravy.
See, in my family, we called it gravy.
Us
Now,
too, right?
yeah.
We did too.
But I have a theory about that. The reason why it should be called gravy is because when you do a real sauce, you put in
The meat.
meatballs,
Right.
sausage,
Right.
meat,
Yeah.
you put in pig skin,
Right.
you put in
Yeah.
bourgeois, all this, you throw in everything. They call that tutte giambotto, right?
Yeah.
They throw everything in there. And when that meat starts cooking in that bread,
It
it
gets
turns dark.
Dark.
Right.
That's where the
That's
gravy
where the gravy came from.
came from. But really, other than that, it's just sauce. Or if you want
But
to
you gotta go like this and say it. Trump.
Well,
It's so funny because you really want us to debate, but we're not going to, because we agree on so many things.
yeah, I mean, you know, but it's Italian.
It's Italian.
I know, it's Italian.
It's kind of Italian.
It is totally.
Totally Italian.
Okay, say it one more time, I'll kick your ass.
So she says to me, when we're doing a video, she says to me, do your Long Island accent. And then she does it, and I go, that's Jersey. I said,
No, you
don't
said that's Brooklyn.
Oh, Brooklyn. You don't sound anything like you're from Long Island.
She did, and I was like, what do you mean? Because I do a character, and if you follow me on Facebook, sometimes I basically put it on there and all over, but if you're on Facebook, you'll find me on there. And the character is called Connie Scumbuddy. And she has a bandana around her head and black glasses, and she goes, hi, my name is Connie Scumbuddy. How you doing? I hope you're all okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the goddamn face mask freaking problems that are going on today. All right? And then I thought that was Long Island.
And I thought that was insulting.
Don't you know people that talk like that up here? Or is it just me? She know.
I do, I talk like that.
So I think it was insulting to me because then I listened to myself and I'm like, oh my God, that's what I sound like.
Well, I have an ear for accents, and I'm like, what the heck is this? I mean, look, I'm a Jersey girl,
You're
but
ridiculous.
it's funny because sometimes when I get done doing a show, people say to me, where you from in Brooklyn? It's like I do all these different things in the show, and I'm going to talk like this, whatever. And I go, I don't know, I'm from Jersey. Yeah, I mean, like, I never, no Brooklyn. No Brooklyn. But I'd like to
Fort
say,
Lee, Brooklyn.
Fort Lee, born and raised in Fort Lee, New Jersey. But I'd like to say, while we don't have any specific questions, that these three people here, Annie, Gordy, and Yaya, I've known these people, my God, it's got to be at least 12 years. More, right?
More.
Yeah, more than that. You're absolutely right. And guess who found me? No, not Annie, not Yaya.
Mom.
Ma.
That's
Courtney found me.
That's right.
And I was doing a show, a weekly show for this Italian radio station called Dolce, which means sweet, okay, in English. And of course they had to do the show live from this Italian restaurant in Little Italy. So they had me in a corner, and this was in the days when there was no streaming. So you had to have a special service to get on, and then you'd have to put these links on, and people could. So it wasn't like today. You go like, oh, let's just go like on Netflix. No fucking Hulu. No, it was nothing. All right. So
It's dial up, right?
yeah, right. Little man would run right. Right. So now I'd be on there, and this one, she's writing in, and she was in Florida, and she's writing in and going like, oh my God, I like that story you said. I thought that was funny. And I'm like, oh my God. So we started chatting.
Yeah.
And we kept talking back and forth. And I did this show maybe for a year. And it was going to be my last show. And who shows up in the restaurant? But her, Annie, and you. Remember?
And Tammy, who's
Yes,
the writer.
Tammy. Right, that's right.
Yep. And Paulette.
That's right, and Paulette, right.
Yep.
So it was so funny because
They always come as a gang.
yeah, they do. It's a posse. They got a posse going
Posse.
on. But I have to say that I've known these people for a very long time, and not only is Annie and Yaya, I mean, brilliantly talented in their own rights in so many different ways. I mean, you know, I'm one of those people that if you are talented, I love you. There's not an ounce of jealousy. I'm your biggest fan. I'm your biggest fan. You know, and that's what it's all about. You know, otherwise we don't grow, right?
Yeah.
And same here. I mean,
Yeah.
I can talk about her, and yeah, she's in my show, but I guess she wouldn't be in my show if I didn't think she was good. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But I adore what she does. So these three, though, particularly, and I'm so glad they're a part of what you're doing, Carol. It's nice to meet you tonight. These are the most real people you'd ever want to meet in your life. And warm, and from the heart, that every time and to this day I always call you Mom.
I know.
And I just, I don't know, I'm just very fortunate that
I
way.
know how much you loved your mother too. Oh my God, I had that same relationship with my mother,
Right.
Anna. But the story that I love that you told about your mother, I mean, maybe people have to see it on Facebook with the statue. The window.
Oh, where she had the
But
vision of
they
the
have
Blessed
to
Mother?
maybe see it. That's
Therapy, I
your
told
best.
her.
But Maryann, tell them about like how they could see you on Facebook and what to look
Yeah,
up and
all
all
right.
that.
So you know what? I don't know if you have my name. You know what I recommend? This is how you can find me. If you just go onto the Italian Chicks website, it'll take you to the fan club. It'll take you to my Instagram. It'll take you, okay? So it's very simple. It's theitalianchicks.com.
Spell chicks.
You have to use CHICKS. You have to put the S, because if you don't, you get porn. Either way, it's exposure. That's what I said. So yeah, that'd be great if you just come on board, and then whatever I put on my page, I put on the Italian Chicks page, and so I share all of Kara's stuff as well. But you guys were wonderful, and I have to tell you, I have not been out of the house in front of people like this since freaking March, when all my shows were canceled for the year. Okay. And we have one show, because we only perform theaters. So we have one show now booked for 21 in January
9th.
January 9th in New Jersey at the
New
Union,
Jersey.
Union County Performing Arts Center in Broadway. So it's close to Staten Island in a way. And hopefully now we'll start booking, and I don't know, we just gotta hope for the best. But
We're
so
already
you-
in October.
Yeah.
Can you believe this? This is like unbelievable. Like now we're getting ready for the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you said? Oh, it's October. We'll get ready for the holidays. Oh, it's almost 2021.
Right, it
You
is.
know, it's crazy.
But I want to thank Carol, and I thank you.
Carol,
and
I can't even say enough. Everybody give me I don't know about the rest of you, and I know a lot of you have been involved with Sunshine Center for a long time, but I get a feeling every single time I walk onto the premises that's like inexplicable for me. Even when I'm like in the house, there's something magical here. I know that you
Sunshine.
Yeah. Well, it's always at night though. It's so interesting. Like even, it was only 2 weeks ago that I was here, and already the grass is growing.
I know, I saw that.
Like that's just like unbelievable to me. You know what I mean? And for me, what that means like is there's so much
Hope.
hope. That's
Right.
what it is. There's hope here. And that's always been what the message of my comedy and what we do. Because even with the Italian Chicks, like Maryann was saying, people come up to us, like we do a Q&A with the recovery shows, and then we have people like a procession line afterwards, which is kind of sad when I think about what the world is now,
Right.
because we want so much contact. I mean, even in the recovery shows, we're not really supposed to touch people. I mean, we're in a rehab, but whatever I do. You know what I mean? Because that's what this is. It's hope. And you can't put a price on hope.
No.
When you give that to somebody, you know, and you leave them with that kind of, that feeling, and I leave here, I walk on like a little bit above the ground when I leave here.
Yeah, it's a cool, it's
You
magic.
know, I was trying to explain it to
magic.
Maryann and all the things that I wanted to do and be a part of here,
Yeah.
because there's so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for making me feel like I was in a 1,000-seat theater tonight.